right. Look who's here. Mos'ab, welcome to Bat Ain, to Gush Etzion, to the mountains.
Oh, thank you. It's very nice to be in the mountains. This is where I was born. Originally, it's my climate, it's my environment. It's very good to be here.
I saw you need the tree eating the figs, and you feel like home.
Yes, this is the season of figs, olives, grapes, all the fertile soil of the Judean mountains has to offer.
Do you miss the land?
Of course I do. Of course I do. There is nothing like your natural environment where you grew up. Unfortunately, I had to live far away for many years. Now it's almost 20 years. So coming back here, just enjoying the climate, the blue skies, the beautiful mountains, and most importantly, beautiful people.
So I will congratulate you that you will find your place, you find your land, your place to your heart. And you know, this is your home. For us, you're part of our family, the Jewish people. So you're part of us and feel free in this land.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
You visit Israel in a very high profile visit, and a lot of ideas, a lot of things that you saw. What's your first impression of what we have in here now in Israel? A war, and the guys that are still in Gaza, our kidnappers. What do you think about the situation?
The situation is developing from bad to worse, unfortunately. We have to admit it. And we have to accept this reality, the reality of war. Once the war begins, you don't know how it's going to end. It's a very tough situation. And especially when you are at the epicenter of this war, where you know your biological family is completely on the other side, and you have no choice but to fight, not only for your life, but also for your principles, for what you believe is right. It's a very tough position. And of course, I am not against people as much I am against principles that justify evil. And all the violence committed by the name of Palestine brought us to this dead end. So on one hand, you see the beauty of the land and the potential of such wonderful people. And you see the potential of what could be had the Arabs accepted the right of Israel to exist from the beginning, instead of burning all the bridges and choosing violence, which was unfortunately crowned by the October 7 attacks, showing a new level of barbarism, something we never witnessed before. Then to see the global sympathy of such act. You know, when I moved to the United States some 15 years ago, I thought to myself, this is it. I leave the Middle East behind. I could not fix the problem of the Middle East. And I was happy to, or willing to sacrifice my securities for the sake of my freedom. And I never thought I would be chased on the streets of New York by pro-Palestine fanatics, where I did not feel at home anymore. I'm not talking about safety. I'm just talking about being in an environment that I tried to depart from, choosing America for what the word stands for, America, to now to see it being hijacked gradually by the name of Palestine, the calls for intifada, globalizing the intifada. It takes me back to the 1987, where basically everything started as a romantic chant, then later on it became total chaos.
Wow.
And here we are living the consequences of such indoctrination. Now people in America, we're trying to tell them we lived it. Don't repeat the same mistakes. Big difference between the theory and the practice. The victim narrative of the Palestinians, which based on self-inflicted trauma. Tell them, be careful. The moment you start adapting this mentality, you are going against the American spirit, which is resilient, does not believe in victimhood. You fall down, you make a mistake, you rise up, you fight the good fight, and you create whatever you can within your potential. And now we see it going backwards. Instead of bringing America to the Middle East, we brought the Middle East to America.
And there is part of our society that forget what happened in the 7th of October. Now we're talking with Hamas, and Hamas getting legitimacy from what's going on. What we, the Israeli public, the Israeli people, what we're missing in Hamas, what we don't understand in this Muslim Brotherhood organization.
Look, this is a very brutal war, and people get tired. And this is what Hamas wanted from the beginning. They wanted a very complicated war where there are hostages, where there are human shields, where there is global chaos. They meant to delegitimize Israel by dragging a democratic state into the mud of terrorist mindset. They say, if don't fight with a pig, because you will only get dirty and the pig will like it. And this is the same reality that we are dealing with. And we walked right into Hamas trap. So today, after 2 years, the hostages, of course, the state of Israel succeeded in bringing the majority of the hostages back. We still have more. And this is an open wound. The economy is exhausted. The soldiers are dying. And there is no resolution, like how to get out of this situation. And unfortunately, terrorists are calling the shots. And democracies around the world are submitting to their demands, rewarding them, thinking by rewarding terrorism, the problem is going to go away. So Israel is caught up in this whole situation. People have the right to be frustrated and to go down to the streets and protest. It's actually the democratic manner of release. But something that worries me, division. Because without unity, we won't be able to win this war. To start blaming each other as it was our responsibility, to get to this point. Yes, maybe we mismanaged the war. Today, looking back, we would have done it differently. But it's very easy to say now. But under the heat of the first few weeks or the first few months after October 7 attack, it was not 100% rational thinking.
Yeah.
And those who come and say you did it wrong, say, why didn't you say from the beginning? Why now you say? So blame, division, in my opinion, will validate Hamas actions, will encourage them to keep the hostages. We're actually risking the lives of the hostages when we blame each other.
Amazing.
And this is Hamas perception. As someone who was Hamas one day, as someone who grew up in their environment, they don't see in this when we become vulnerable and show our tears and our compassion and our sympathy with the hostages and fight in a democratic manner. They think this is weakness. They don't understand it as tolerance and as dialogue and as compassion. Every time, even from personal experience in that culture, every time I make myself vulnerable, talk about, let's say, personal struggle or my personal traumas, something like is igniting the bloodlust in them.
Mm-hmm.
And many times I don't want to give them the pleasure. And this is the situation. Now they see that the society is hurting. And I say, this is fine. We must express our pain. I have been practicing this from the beginning.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to hide my pain. I'm not afraid of people's judgment to say, you are hurt. Of course. What the world is expecting, growing up in such lustful society. But I use the personal experience to point out that we can fight. I'm not posing as a victim. We are all hurt. But we must not start blaming each other and fight each other. Mm-hmm. This is something that I don't agree. We know who the enemy is, and we know what they want. And what they want is our destruction. And if this is their goal, then we should never let them win.
It's amazing that you telling us that the division, Hamas taking this division and deep his this gap between the Israeli community, but sometimes we can't realize. We need you to tell us such a thing. Tell me, how you see the Palestinian Authority? You know, part of the Israeli politician and even the intelligence said Abu Mazen Sharik is a partner. It's okay. What do you think about the Palestinian Authority?
The Palestinian Authority pose an existential threat to the state of Israel and to the stability of the region. Mm. And as you see today, they have been playing a global game. Their interest is not a Palestinian statehood. Their interest is the global status. And the conflict gives them significance. And when I say they, I mean the PLO, the Palestinian Authority. Hamas, a narrow-minded group of people that it's much easier to counter. But my problem with those globalists who know how to play the big game, that they use the suffering of what's so-called Palestinians to build a global empire. And as you see, they are spreading. The Palestinian Authority used the international aid and the donors' money that was meant to build infrastructure, to educate the new generation, to create peaceful generation, to help the local economy. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on this purpose, they have been spending most of their budget on a global game, where they have their embassies, their delegations, incitement, recruiting fifth column in Europe, in the United States, in Australia, to spread false narrative and false accusations of apartheid, genocide, ethnic cleansing, occupation. And all these accusations are actually in violation to the Oslo Accords, which basically does not mention any two-state solution. does not mention anything about occupation. It's negotiations in good faith towards peace. And the Palestinian Authority failed miserably reaching that goal. Beginning of pay-to-slay program, funding terrorism, then incitement, then recruiting a huge army of diplomats around the world. Just think of their budget. You know, they are totally dependent on the donations of the West. Why they should have embassies all over the world? How much money we are spending on such operation, and what's the goal? The goal is to delegitimize Israel, because this is how the Palestinian Authority gets legitimacy. They cannot get legitimacy through building a nation, through being an example of a constructive example of transforming a revolution into a nation which could qualify eventually to statehood. They are doing totally the opposite. And this is a very, very dangerous game that they are playing. And I wonder what would satisfy their ambition. I'm afraid a statehood or even the destruction of the state of Israel is not going to satisfy their ambition.
Wow. I don't like the word solution, but what should Israel do with the Palestinian Authority as an interim stage, as an interim step?
So the Palestinian Authority's function is a governing authority for the majority Arab cities in Judea and Samaria. And I don't mind this. They can keep the security, they can build economy, they can provide education, civil administration. But to become a hostile entity that would continue on clashing with a totally developed country, a democracy that has Arabs, Jews, Christians, Druze, and many other ethnicities and religions, is suicidal. And it will never lead to peace in the region. So they must know their position and their status. Why Israel allowed them from the beginning to enter here? And that was peacemaking, not continuous attempts to defame and to delegitimize Israel globally by spreading lies, manipulating Western values. So this is a very dangerous game, and I think there is no fruitful result out of it.
Let's talk about the region, about the new order in the region. Syria, it's like Syria of Al-Qaeda, Daesh, a jihad country. Hezbollah, 80% dying. Iran, we hit them very strongly. How do you see the new Middle East, and what is the challenges in this Middle East? Syria, Lebanon, and so on.
Look, Syria and Lebanon represent the real division of the Middle East, which is tribal conflict and tribalism. We saw what Jolani's troops did against the Druze.
They're still doing, by the way. They're still killing.
Yes. And what they're doing to the Alawis. Their differences also with the Shi'is. Lebanon is the same story. It's a very divided country. Used to be a Christian country at some point. Today, it's ruins as outcome of the Islamic conflict. This is what the world don't understand. That the Muslims in the Middle East, they find in Israel as a common enemy. And when they are not fighting against Israel, they fight against each other. This is the reality of Lebanon. Now Hezbollah in Lebanon, which is Shia in general, don't want to drop their guns. They don't want to disarm. And I don't know how the Lebanese government is going to deal with this problem. And it could lead eventually to some clashes. It could be a civil war, especially that it's all extreme religious minorities that are totally conflicted with bloody history, that revenge is still there.
Why they will hand the weapon? Tribe without weapon, they're gonna slaughter him.
Well, tribe is something, but also when a tribe is fueled by jihad, that's a different story. Because I don't see actually tribes have the right to have their own weapons, but when they become jihadists, that's now taking it to a whole different level. Now in Syria we have ISIS, we have Kurds in the north, we have Sunnis, we have Alawis, we have Shi'is, and also the new Syrian regime is at odds with the Lebanese, Hezbollah Lebanese, and at odds with the Iranian Ayatollah, and at odds with Iraqi Shi'is. And just a little bit to the south, we have Jordan, which exists of so many.
Is there any threat for Jordan with the new neighborhoods from the north?
Look, the entire region is sitting on a volcano, and it's constantly changing. When you talk about Jordan, Jordan exists only of migrants. Jordan was meant to be Palestine, but this Palestine became approximately a million Iraqi refugee from the Iraqi war. Syrian refugees.
Palestinian refugees.
Actually, I cannot say Palestinian refugees because this is where basically their natural environment, which is Jordan. Jordan is Palestine. It's supposed to be Palestine. So the diversity. And we have a king. How many kings we have in the region? So we are in 21st century. So I don't know how long this kingdom is going to survive. The situation is not easy in Jordan, and it's not easy in Syria. It's not easy in Lebanon, and Israel is surrounded by all these conflicted regimes that we really don't know. Now, President Trump shakes the hands of Al-Julani.
I think it was a mistake.
Of course, because he gave him legitimacy. But that was a pressure from the Saudis and the other Arab Gulf countries. And President Trump wanted to give them something in return for the economical contribution. So this is where the free world has to compromise because of financial interest. A very, very dangerous game of what's happening. And things are happening also very fast. So we may think that Syria came to, let's say, to a settlement. That's not true. Just a matter of time before things might blow up again. Same thing with Lebanon, same thing with Iraq, same thing with Jordan. And even Egypt, when we talk about 10 million Copts or more than that, been under the majority Muslim persecution with the Muslim Brotherhood as a very powerful movement, and a dictator who's actually is the worst Egyptian dictator so far, even though he's pleasing, let's say, the world leaders to keep things under control, but how he's executing that is executing it with an iron fist. Well, this is problematic. Sooner or later, it's going to blow up.
That was my next question about Sisi. He's as well a threat to Israel We have a peace treaty, but look what happened in Sinai.
Yes, well, look what happened in Gaza.
He kept Gaza bleeding, blocking the border that continue to the Palestinian problem will continue.
Worse than this, he allowed Hamas to smuggle weapons under his watch for almost 17 years. You think he's part of the problem? And today he's not taking responsibility at all.
He even not open the border for immigration, the guys who want to go out.
Yes, against the international law, the Geneva protocols. When there is a war, political borders should not get in the way of civilians to escape to safety. And I've been saying this from the beginning of the war. Open the border. You and I understand the reality of a society that has been hijacked by terrorists. They weaponized the civilians, and they used them as human shields. They wanted to sacrifice more and more civilians for global sympathy. And Sisi understands Hamas game, but he allowed them to proceed. And the international community allowed them to proceed in this massive slaughter. They had the opportunity to take this card from Hamas from the beginning, to allow the civilians to cross to safety, even in temporary villages, camps, until combatants deal with combatants. Hamas cowards hide behind civilians, and they haven't been fighting an honorable fight. And the civilians had to pay very a high price. So with that said, I see in Egypt that it's complicit in this crime, and that they are part of the problem, not part of the solution. And I don't know how long it's going to take the United States president to apply pressure on Egypt, especially that Egypt receives American aid, $1.3 billion annually. The United States has some saying to tell Egypt, you have a responsibility towards the Gazan civilians. Hamas is going nowhere. They keep the hostages. Evacuate the civilians to safety. Otherwise, the bloodshed will continue for eternity.
You mentioned Trump and the United States. You live in the West. What happened to the West? What happened to the West that he is not realizing that he's bringing Muslim immigrants, that's bringing the culture of the Middle East to Europe and the United States? What happened? They're so stupid, or they see something that I can see?
When I look at Europe, there are many things to say about the migrants. First of all, it's cheap labor, something like modern day slavery, cheap prostitution, people who don't know their rights, who are willing to trade their freedoms for very little things, unlike citizens of these countries. And I think many profited from this for many years. That includes the private and public sectors. And I think they had a very free ride for a while, and now it's backfiring at them, because these people don't have, they are not able to integrate into the
They don't
society.
want to integrate. They don't belong to a religious that want to integrate.
Of course,
Islam is always up the other religious.
Absolutely, they come with escaping the hell created by Islam, and they bring the very belief system that had enslaved them to the West. And instead of praising the Western values, they actually launch a campaign against the Western values and try to replace the establishment with the 7th century belief system. So yes, and they have been succeeding. When we talk about 15 to 20% of the population are Muslims now in Europe, of course they have influence. And it's not coincidental to see France, the UK, rushing to recognize a Palestinian state against their longtime ally, Israel. That tells you how much Muslims have influence on the Western policy makers and decision makers.
So what's going to be in Europe? It's going to be a war, civil war, or only slowly dawah, slowly the Islam will not integrate, will conquer cities, municipalities, and so on. What do you predict that's going to be in Europe?
I don't think Muslims are capable of conquering Europe, not in the 21st century. But Muslims are definitely capable of dragging Europe into a civil war. And especially if the governments continue to betray their citizens. On one hand, they are repressing decent citizens and hosting illegal migrants, giving them all the benefits of the taxpayer money. At some point, people are going to say enough is enough. And if the government is not taking the responsibility, what they're supposed to do, the indigenous of the land are going to rebel. The same way the indigenous of this land said enough is enough with the Palestinian false narrative. It is the same. Same thing with Lebanon.
What? In Britain, I saw a British cop saying to a lady, don't go with your dog in this street because it's a najis. You will insult your Muslim neighbors. Or a guy who asked an immigrant, speak English, he was convicted because you're not allowed to say speak English. We are so naive like them.
Look, if there is anything about this culture that I don't like, their hatred against dogs. Because dogs are one of my favorite animals.
Really?
And I cannot, they are the friendliest. And I can rely on them in many things. I love dogs. And I was not allowed when I was young to own a dog. When I brought dogs,
there is Bedouin with dog. What the problem? Bedouins they have dogs. Why Falah don't
it's not only Falah. I mean, anybody who's believing in Islam, they think dogs are unclean animals.
Filthy.
They don't allow them inside the house.
So they told you in the house don't raise a dog?
Yes, they didn't allow me to bring a dog into the house. And I always wanted to have a dog, and I befriend so many dogs, street dogs. And unfortunately, they used to kill the dogs. Like a municipality. I would wake up in the morning on my way to school, I would see dozens of dogs poisoned.
Really?
All over the street. And this is still a practice done.
Yeah, I saw it in Hebron. Now you solved me a question. Once I saw the mayor of Hebron giving 20 shekel to each one who will kill a dog. Why?
Kill a dog, yeah. Well, because Muhammad asked his followers to kill the dogs in Medina 1400 years ago. Because it was an unclean animal. Muhammad did not like the universal design that dogs are part of life. So many Muslims see it that way. When you don't have compassion towards dogs, when you don't have compassion towards non-Muslims, when you don't have a positive perception of life. You know, in Judaism, Moses told his followers that God laid before you life and death. Choose life. choose life.
ובחרת בחיים. This is our parashat Shavua. This we're going to read.
It's a very, very beautiful thing that had also impact on my life. The essence of Israel, to choose life, while the other side praising suicide bombing. You know, for my crime, that I opposed their violence. My crime that I said no to suicide bombing attacks. No to targeting civilians indiscriminately. And they made me into a traitor, and they put a death sentence over my head. And they took all my securities. They shunned me. So what does that tell you? And today is the same thing. Anybody who try to question the Palestinian violence become immediately a criminal or a genocidal or a child killer.
Or Islamophobic.
And we tell them, you know, all these crimes that you see in Gaza is basically committed by the same enemy, and that is jihadists and Islamists. Palestinianism, the very foundation of Palestinianism, relies on jihad. It's all about jihad concepts. They use the name Palestine because it's fancy. But at essence, Palestine and Islam are very similar. Two non-existential entities. One relies on the destruction of Israel, and the other one relies on the destruction of civilization. Not only Western civilization, all civilizations. If you go to India, you are going to have the same problem. And the problem is Muslim versus Hindu, Muslim versus Christian, Muslim versus Jews. And yes, religions can clash, but Muslims are the only religion, or Islam is the only religion, that points out the Jews in their holy book more than 42 times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a problem. And the world is in denial. Say, no, this is for Palestine. And we tell them, no, Hamas does not believe in Palestine. Yasser Arafat did not define the borders of Palestine. When he declared the independence of Palestine in 1988, they asked him, what are the borders of this Palestine? He said, wherever Palestinians are is Palestine.
Wow.
So now all these people who have been indoctrinated on Palestine in the United States, in Europe, everybody swearing by the name of Palestine, they are all Palestinians. So Palestine is global right now. And it's not coincidental that they chant globalize the Intifada. Mm-hmm. What does that even mean? And if their fight was only for land and for borders, they would fight within those borders. Say, this is a legitimate fight for our land, right? But since the beginning of the Palestinian movement in 1964, we have witnessed global terrorism, commercial airline hijacking, targeting the Olympics, killing diplomats. They killed the U.S. ambassador in Khartoum.
In the Olympic Games, aircrafts, all over.
Like, for example, Yasser Arafat, while the CIA was listening, along with Abu Jihad, gave his people in Khartoum to kill the American ambassador. The CIA have recordings of this. Years later, the United States rewarded him as a peacemaker. And it's hard to believe how these people kept getting away with their crimes. What was the name of the American presidential candidate? Kennedy?
Kennedy was assassinated.
He was assassinated by Palestinian.
Yeah.
Sarhan.
Yeah.
Sarhan. There is no limit to the Palestinian ambition. And it was never about land. It was never about Israel. It's about power. And I will never forget the Palestinians celebrating 9/11.
I remember it. It was in Salah ad-Din. They gave candies. Maybe in Ramallah they did the same.
Yes. And for how many years Palestinians considered America as an enemy? And today many Americans, under the influence of Palestinian indoctrination and hateful propaganda against the Jews, have forgotten the long-time friend, ally of the United States, loyal to the United States, Israel. And they are befriending the enemy of the United States. Sooner or later, they will realize that this infiltration into the United States will be disastrous.
You know, European citizens and American and in Canada, the guys who are waking up, telling to the Muslim immigrants, we can treat you like you treat Christians in your country. They said, no, we don't want. They said, if you love so much your countries, go back to your countries. They said, no. What they are excused at coming to the West? What they saying? Why they're coming to the West? To work? Or it's a small, secret, global jihad?
Look, at the beginning, as someone who moved to the West at some point, and I was totally on my own, nobody was there, and I started from zero, from the curb of a street when I became homeless. I tell you something, it's not easy to start a new life somewhere else. And it requires the good fight. You have to fight the good fight. You have to be resilient. And it's not easy to integrate into the society, to accept, for example, if the West, Christian or Jewish or non-Muslim in general, how to accept the new mindset and how to build bridges with the people and understand also their struggles as human beings and have compassion towards yourself, towards the others. It takes years to integrate, to understand the language of the people after many, many years of rejection, just simply for your color or for your accent or for the fact that you don't have money, and you don't have money in the West. Nobody cares. Like, you need to be successful to fit in the West. And success, you need to work hard. The help does not come from the outside. And this is what I did from the beginning. And this is the way towards integration. It's mutual respect. It's resilience. It's hard working. But to go to the West expecting that as Middle Easterns, that we're going to just cheat the system, cheat the government, cheat the people, and expect that this is going to allow us integrate and grow, it will never happen. And I think this is part of the dilemma, that many people see the West, they think it's the afterlife, the paradise. And when we go there, we don't appreciate the values that actually make the West the way it is. So we go on deconstructing the very foundations that made this jewel of civilization. Because it's very, very hard to live, to praise life. It's much easier to hate life and say, okay, it's not going my way, then you hate it, rather than to try to fight the good fight. And I came to realize this many, many years ago. And it wasn't easy to work on myself, to shift the paradigm and to change my early life conditioning. And it is still a struggle. And now I feel going backwards, that I had to come back to the reality of the Middle East to talk about Hamas mentality and the Palestinian struggle. And as I told you in the beginning of the conversation, it's shocking to me to see the Palestinian hateful indoctrination embedded and praised in the West.
Mosa'ab, first, thank you for your very clear vision that you gave us, strategic vision, and God bless you in all your job that you're doing for the humanity, for the Israeli and the Jewish people. Keep going. God bless you. We need you. And I bless you, and I wish that you will find your place in the Middle East, in our country, safe and brave, and with a lot of very promised future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. Is there any question that you want to answer and didn't ask, or something that you want to say? What's your dream? Maybe to come to find your place, or you're still dreaming, or what's your next step?
For now, we're just taking it day by day, day by day. I don't have long-term plans. The events are changing very quickly. One day you think that this is priority, then the next day you realize, no, we have more important priorities. And I wish it was only about me. If it was about me, I know where to go and just manage a very, very simple life. I like a very simple life, not in the public eyes. I cannot disconnect myself from this reality. Today I see like I need anger management, and it's really eating me slowly, and I'm aware of it. I see myself, and I cannot help it. It just because I learned the hard way that it starts with small distortion, a little bit of false claim here, a little bit of lie there. And then the entire structure is going to be distorted, and eventually is going to lead to a collapse, total collapse. So when I see mediocres, when I see hypocrites, just fooling themselves and fooling the rest of the world, I know that there is no way around it. The only way is just to be truthful to who you are. And I am personally, I'm very hard on myself. Very, very hard. For many years, I don't take it easy on myself, and I don't tolerate my mistakes. And hence, when I see others playing the dirty game, being reckless, not caring about the consequences of their work and how it's going to create generations of terrorism, or generations of retarded people, or generations of hateful people, instead of focusing on being truthful, having self-discipline, having regulated desire or ambition for how much we want. I rage because I know the outcome. If desire, man's desire or ambition, is not leashed by principles and discipline, is leading to total destruction. And how many people out there with burning desire to dominate the world? And this is my problem with Islam, that I say, the way to peace is not through dominating and converting every soul on earth to become a slave to Allah, hypothetical entity. This is not the way. And if this was the way, show me the example. Show me how you treat your women. Show me how you raise your children. Show me your qualities so I can maybe believe.
There is no such a good example up to now.
So from their fruits you know them. And to be living in such darkness and such ignorance with global ambitions, thinking that they have the superior or the higher moral ground over all other religions is wrong. And this is why I am fighting against them. And for all those who identify as Muslims, such false identities will not lead to righteousness and it will lead only to more chaos. Today it's very hard for the world to understand this because they think that the majority of Muslims are not violent people, and I agree with that. But what's hard to understand, how come Muslims identify with something that they completely oppose? And you ask them about the Sharia law, the majority of Muslims say no. Tell them, it's like, do you believe in cutting people's hands for robbery? They say no. Do you believe in stoning women to death because of shame? They say no. Do you believe in killing non-Muslims? They say no. Then I tell them, why do you identify as Muslim? So on one hand, they give legitimacy to a sick belief system, still in public a peaceful version of Islam that does not exist. This is a big, huge hypocrisy that is not leading to righteousness. Same thing with Islam trying to replace Judaism. You know, I wish that Islam was original idea of
prophecy,
of let's say, at least even of a self-realization. You know, so many enlightened people came to a certain realization that shed light on life, and they transformed their society without the claim of being God's messenger. But to steal everything from Judaism and say, you know, I am the new version of Judaism is very, very offensive. It's very offensive. And look where we are at right now. It's still the same attempt to replace Judaism. They don't believe in diversity. And I hope that one day they will come to realize that the universal design depends on diversity. Yeah.
Again, thank you. And I want to thank Dr. Dan Daker from the Jerusalem Institute for Security and Foreign Affairs that he's been with you for more than 1 week, 1 week and a half, even 2 weeks, hanging around. And it's really opportunity. He gave you the opportunity to see more than our country. And I hope you'll be part of us, part of our family.
Yes, actually, Dr. Dan, I have to say a word that he's taught me a lot since I met him. Well educated, and it's very hard nowadays to find someone with such qualities that trying to bring the people together.
Yeah.
He has been working with the Arabs, let's say reformed Arabs, who see the potential of peace between the Arabs and the Jews in the region. Even though many people don't see this potential. Great visionary person, well educated, well connected, and we have been working together for the past 14 months, I would say. And I am really enjoying this partnership, and I hope that our joint effort will lead to build bridges of understanding. We need understanding on a solid ground. You know, yes, he's Jewish, and I am not Jewish, but we have so many things in common, and our fight is the same fight. We are fighting for the next generation. We want a generation that believes in peace, and we want to bring people from every tribe. Just the other day we met with the Hebron tribes. We honored them. The time came for a prayer. And Dr. Dan ran to his car to bring towels so they can pray, like literally mainly Jewish Santa. We don't have a problem with that. And they felt that we honored them. Of course, we don't have problem. They can practice their religion. They can.
كل واحد وديننا ولا يعينه, but not to do it political religion.
Yes, don't turn it into violence. I don't have a problem. Like, for example, my mother, I'm sure today she's praying 5 times a day. If she's praying, would I go and insult her devotion to the God that she knows? I would never do that. I would never do that to all those followers of Muhammad who went to pray and express their devotion between them and their God. I don't have problem.
I don't have problem with them as well.
Yes, I don't have problem with the Sufis, but if to me it becomes a problem if I see them on the sidewalks of New York making political statement or praying in big groups in London to intimidate the public, or hitting themselves in big Shi'i demonstration, Ashura, hurting their physical body to provocate their rage. This is a problem. So basically, going back to our work, we need to bring the people together. And anyone who is really willing to drop their false identity, to drop their ego, and see the human potential, and to work together. This has been our work with Dr. Dan, and I hope that we will be able to reach some middle ground where we bring people together.
So I wish you success for you and for Dr. Dan, and whatever I can help you in your vision, I'm here, because we're sharing the same vision for the good.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
Thank you, Mosa'ab.
You're most welcome.
For this interview. And I hope a lot of Israelis will see it and will catch the light.
Thank
you.